Ava's trembling fingers tightened around her boarding pass as the inspector's snicker cut deep into her heart. "I don't care who your father is. You will not be allowed on this flight," he said clearly, drawing all eyes to them. The twins exchanged knowing glances, instantly recognizing the injustice that pervaded the air. When Ava finally unlocked her phone, Mia whispered next to her, "Do it." Neither of them knew that the call would do more than simply get them home. It would ground all Mid-Atlantic Airlines flights, exposing a silent system of discrimination that had been going on for years. Before we get into this heart-wrenching story, let me know where you're watching from. And if you believe in the power of justice, please like and subscribe so you don't miss out on stories that truly reflect the society we live in. Ava and Mia Harris stood side by side, like two inseparable parallel figures, so similar that even their closest acquaintances frowned to tell them apart. At 17, their eyes sparkled with mischief, but also with the determination of young girls just entering adulthood. The two sisters not only were honor students at Wellington Prep, but also symbolized perseverance and relentless effort through every aspect of their academic performance and extracurricular activities. Today, they are preparing for a major milestone, a college tour in Boston, a journey that marks their first years of independence, full of promise and expectation. Despite the hustle and bustle, Ava and Mia carry themselves with a special simplicity. They wear soft hoodies, simple jeans, and worn sneakers, outfits that have little to do with the first-class tickets in their hands. It is not a symbol of privilege or pretentiousness, but the careful choice of a father who wants his children to feel normal, humble, even in the most important moments. David Harris, their father, a figure behind the scenes of power as the recently appointed CEO of Atlantic Sky Airlines, kept this position a secret to protect the privacy of his family and to observe and monitor the company culture in the most authentic way, avoiding any influence of power on small lives like the two daughters waiting for the flight. That first-class ticket he decided to give to Ava and Mia, not only for the convenience, but also to ensure the safety and comfort of their children on their first independent trip, a gift of love and thoughtfulness. At that moment, in the hustle and bustle of the airport, those two young faces were filled with a mixture of excitement and anxiety, like young birds about to take off into the big world, carrying with them faith, hope, and lessons from their small home. They were not only waiting for a flight, but also standing on the threshold of new experiences, challenges, and a journey to find themselves in a world that is not always fair. The crowd continued to pass by, the flight announcements were heard regularly, and Ava and Mia, with their first-class tickets in hand, stood there, silent, resilient, ready to enter a new chapter of their lives, with no one expecting what would happen right here, in the middle of this airport. Mark, the white ticket inspector with a calm demeanor and a cold face, stood behind the counter, his hands flying over the keyboard, his eyes not even glancing at the two young women standing right in front of him. Ava and Mia, first-class tickets in hand, were waiting patiently and politely, but Mark deliberately turned away, his eyes focused and preferentially on the white couple standing behind them. The atmosphere suddenly became tense, as if Ava and Mia's presence were an unnecessary nuisance. When the older sister Ava gently reminded Mark, her voice calm and respectful, that we're next, the look Mark gave the two girls was not merely cold, but also filled with undisguised contempt. He replied briefly and coldly, "You girls wait," as if this was an order that did not require further explanation or argument. The white couple behind them, seemingly unaware of the injustice, or perhaps they chose to ignore it, hurried past Ava and Mia without a word of apology or a pause to ask. This unclear priority made the atmosphere around the ticket counter heavy. The eyes of a few other passengers began to follow, but they remained silent, hesitant to speak up. The feeling of injustice, this blatant disregard, spread like a cold fog, covering the entire waiting area. As the minutes passed, Ava and Mia stood there, not protesting, but in their eyes, viewers could read the silent struggle, the confusion mixed with determination. The crowd continued to move, but that indignation, though silent, was smoldering inside the two young girls, starting a chain of events that no one expected would change their lives and the lives of Atlantic Sky Airlines. Eva's heart clenched in that moment, a familiar, painful feeling that she had tried to bury deep inside, but now more clearly than ever. Being ignored, rejected because of the color of her skin, that hurt was not easy to erase. But Ava, with her maturity and fortitude beyond her years, tried to suppress all her explosive emotions, maintaining a steady calm, not allowing the noise or anger to further inflame an already fragile situation. Beside her, Mia kept her eyes on her, her small hand gently holding her sister's hand, as if transmitting a silent yet profound strength to Ava. Mia's eyes were both gentle and determined, full of comfort and encouragement. "We won't let this bring us down. Call Dad, he will help us." The words were like a promise, a solid support in the midst of the storm, arousing an unshakable resilience in the hearts of the two girls. In the midst of that cramped and oppressive space, Ava and Mia shared a sadness that was also a source of strength, a determination that would not allow them to bow down to injustice. That moment was not simply a reaction to discrimination, but also a testament to the deep bond, the strong bond, and the fighting spirit of the two sisters. A spiritual strength, quiet but persistent, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. Mia pulled her phone from her coat pocket, her movements gentle but determined. The number of Atlantic Sky Airlines, a number she had memorized long ago, was dialed quickly. The line rang for a moment before the deep, calm voice of David Harris came through the line. A man in an important meeting, but immediately stopped when he heard the seriousness in his daughter's voice. David remained silent as Mia recounted every word, every little detail conveyed clearly and coherently. There was no noise, no interruption, just the absolute focus of a father, not only for his family, but also for a greater responsibility. A wave of simmering anger and deep disappointment rose within him, but it did not shake his inherent calmness, the calm of a leader who must maintain clarity in all circumstances. David realized that this was not simply a personal injustice, but a clear indication of the core problems in the corporate culture he had just inherited. It was not only an insult to his two daughters, but also a challenge to the values he had set and the commitment he wanted to build at Atlantic Sky Airlines. His promise to deal with them seriously and protect them came across as an irrefutable command, an affirmation of fairness that he would not be swayed from. The call ended, but the air in the room still reverberated with determination and strength, as if a small storm had just begun to prepare to flare up. Immediately after ending the call, David Harris stood up from his chair with a determined look in his eyes and a sharp voice. Without hesitation, he ordered the immediate suspension of the flight that Ava and Mia were scheduled to board, causing all activities at the ticket counter to suddenly stop, while the passengers and staff around were shocked. This was more than just an administrative decision. It was a clear statement that fairness would be protected at all costs, that even the smallest injustice would not be ignored or denied. David used his authority as a powerful tool, not only to quell the discrimination that was permeating the air, but also to assert that Atlantic Sky Airlines would not tolerate any disrespect, especially when it happened right in front of him, a responsible father and a visionary leader. His orders made everyone feel the weight of justice, forcing each individual involved to face the truth and their responsibilities. Not stopping there, David immediately requested to protect Ava and Mia's rights, ensure that his children were treated fairly, and ordered to collect statements from all staff working at the counter, as well as passengers who witnessed the incident. Every piece of evidence, every story, no matter how small, was considered and recorded as important pieces of the picture of justice he was building. David's presence at this time was not only that of a steady, protective father to his two daughters, but also that of a decisive, uncompromising leader, creating an undeniable pressure on the entire airline. The atmosphere became tense but also hopeful, because through his actions, everyone realized that change was not only necessary, but inevitable. News of the incident at the ticket counter quickly spread across social media and news sites, spreading like a wildfire that could not be controlled. The image of two young girls standing upright in the middle of the crowd, steadfastly facing injustice, touched the hearts of thousands of viewers, stirring up public opinion in a wave of anger and deep sympathy. Even on the flight, many passengers could not hide their sympathy and support for Ava and Mia. The whispers and glances that seemed to acknowledge their strength in difficult circumstances further highlighted the difference between injustice and kindness. Some of them, who were employees of the airline, also began to speak up, expressing their clear discontent with the discrimination that had just occurred, ready to stand on the side of justice even when faced with pressure from colleagues or superiors. The incident did not stop at the small area of the airport or the flight, but quickly attracted the attention of social organizations and the community that protect fair rights. Public calls and strict requests to force Atlantic Sky Airlines to take responsibility and thoroughly handle the problem were made, creating an undeniable pressure. Public opinion is unanimous in one thing: change and justice must be implemented without compromise, so that similar stories do not happen again in the future. As the shocking incident began to spread, David Harris decided that he could no longer remain silent or avoid it. In front of a series of cameras and reporters, he appeared with a serious demeanor, a determined gaze, and full of responsibility, officially sending his sincere apology to Ava, Mia, and all the passengers who had suffered hurt and injustice in their experience. He did not stop at an apology, but also publicly announced specific steps that Atlantic Sky Airlines would take to deeply change the company culture. From improving employee training on diversity and anti-discrimination, to establishing transparent monitoring systems and strictly handling any inappropriate behavior, all were clearly announced as an unwavering commitment. David bluntly asserted that the airline not only wants to satisfy customers, but is also determined to build a fair working and service environment where respect for every individual, regardless of background or skin color, is put first. The image of a resilient father, as well as a responsible and courageous leader facing reality, becomes clear in every word he speaks, making public opinion not only stop at sympathy, but also start to put faith in real change. A future where justice and human rights are seriously protected in every step of Atlantic Sky Airlines' development. As the plane doors opened once more, Ava and Mia stepped in, greeted with reverence by the staff and the passengers around them. No longer ignored or treated unfairly, they were now protected, recognized for their rights and the full equality they deserved. Their steps were light and steady as they walked down the red carpet of the first-class cabin, their eyes shining with faith and hope, not only for today's trip but also for the bright future that awaited them. The event went beyond a personal dispute, but became a symbol of the voice of millions of people who have been disadvantaged because of their skin color or origin. Ava and Mia, through the power of family, resilience, and integrity, reminded us that justice is not a distant dream, but a right that everyone must protect. The story ends with a powerful message: never be silent in the face of injustice. Do not let discrimination continue to exist in this society. Every voice, every courageous action is a solid step on the path towards a more just and humane world, where everyone is treated equally and respected as who they really are.